everybody's probably a little bit more excited, a little bit more nervous than maybe usual with the prospect of 52,000, Irish people back in the Aviva in November. So good to be back in. The first week of camp is always, pretty hectic in terms of making sure that everyone's across, detail, the plays, the plan. And then once you kind of get through that, we can start to taper it off and kind of look forward to the Japanese next week.
Yeah, because look, as players, it can't have been easy going out over the last couple of years and playing in front of empty arenas sometimes, and then partial crowds over the last 8 or 9 months. To actually get back to having meaningful crowds there, to be able to derive that energy is going to be so important.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a different game without the fans. There really is. So we're all really looking forward to it, and I think even as Irish teams, I think a point of difference we have is the support that we have is incredible. So having them back now in the stands is brilliant for us.
Yeah, because one of the probably most special nights I've ever been in the Aviva Stadium was 3 years ago next month, which was when the All Blacks came to town and you won the game back in 2018. Like, to have it rocking like that with potentially a big performance, I would think as a player, that's just hugely satisfying to be involved in a night like that.
That was an incredible game to have played in, to have been a part of. And I think, the word incredible atmosphere is used a bit, but I think anyone that was there, would agree that it really was an incredible atmosphere that night. It was pretty special, a pretty special game. Yeah, look, I won't look back too nostalgically at that game, because probably we lost when it really mattered in 2019. But certainly it was a great day, though. Do you know what I mean? And they're the games that you want to be involved in, aren't they?
Not to overlook the Argentina or Japan games in any way, but to go up against a New Zealand team who were so impressive this summer in the Rugby Championship, a team who are coming in on the back of some really, really good form. That's a great test to get ahead of the Six Nations when you play them in a couple of weeks' time.
Definitely, yeah. And look, New Zealand, the Springboks, they're the benchmark now in the world. And for us, New Zealand are probably a team we'll get to know pretty well this season with the game in November and with the summer tour over there, obviously, as well. It's good for us. It'll give us an idea of where we sit in the world, and I think that's why this block is really good for us.
Potentially you could end up playing them more often. Plenty of speculation this week about the idea of a Rugby Nations League, which may well involve more regular games against the teams in the Southern Hemisphere. I know we're in the sphere of speculation now, but would you enjoy being able to do that maybe in July and November of each year after the World Cup, to potentially pitch yourself against South Africa, Australia, New Zealand more often?
I haven't seen any of that speculation, but potentially. But look, I suppose at the same time, you don't want to dilute the Six Nations or the World Cup, which are kind of, which are special tournaments. But any chance you get to play New Zealand is a good opportunity for you to test yourself, and as I said, to see where you're at. It'll be good for us.
Japan are first up, James. The game last summer, haphazard at times, mistakes made by the Irish team along the way, and Japan played such a good running game, and they punish any mistakes that you make. They're an opponent that you're becoming familiar with because of some of these friendlies that have been played against them over the last couple of years as well. Yeah,
they thrive off. Yeah, exactly. They thrive off turnover, off loose ball control, off sloppy mistakes. That's kind of when they come alive. Their attack is their point of difference, really, like just the speed they play at. It's pretty rapid. I think defensively more than anything, it's a big challenge for us. To see what is the speed that we can work at. What's our appetite like? What's our intent like? So, it'll be a good one. And obviously a soldier in the summer. It was a tough game, and I think they'll be better off the back of that again. And having played the Wallabies there as well. They're a team that the more time they spend together, the better they seem to be, and they've had a bit of a lead into this game. So I suppose the challenge for us now is having, not a huge amount of sessions together between now, today, and by the time we rock up to the Viva Saturday week, is making sure that we're across all our work so we can get off to a good start.
Argentina, when you mentioned the Wallabies, we talk about significant wins that they had in the summer just gone by too. This is probably important for their development to be getting wins in the Rugby Championship along the way, and it makes them a dangerous opponent at the end of next month.
Absolutely, yeah, of course they do, yeah, exactly. They're always a very strong side, strong up front, strong scrum, set piece, and they always bring real intent, real fire. So, no, I think there's a good mix there of opposition we're facing. Yeah, but look, as you said, we won't look too far past Japan. Anyone with anyone that watched the World Cup will know how good a side they are, having beaten us and beaten Scotland, and running the Springboks pretty close for large parts of that game. So, yeah, it'll be first up Japan and see how we get on.
It sounds a little bit like a cliche here, but genuinely, I'm assuming that you focus on this block of 3 games, because plenty of speculation, about the squad selection and everything this week in the newspapers. And you talk about the fact that, Andy dropped in the fact that they were looking toward the World Cup. And this was almost like the start of the couple of years cycle for getting ready for it. But as a team, is it genuinely a case of your focus is 100% in these 3 games, then on getting results in the Six Nations? I assume your mind doesn't drift anywhere near France as a player. That's up to the coaching team to decide.
Well, it's probably in the back of your mind, you know what I mean? Like, that's the pinnacle, that's the world stage of our sport. So, it is in the back of our mind, and that's ultimately where we've got to go. I think we've got 5 blocks together between now and then. But yeah, at the same time, like when the whistle blows against Japan or the All Blacks, I'm not going to be thinking that whoever selected, they're not going to be thinking about France in 2023, are they? So, but look, it is about, in a sense, kind of trying to build towards that, and this block will give us an opportunity to, as I said, see where we're at and hopefully keep pushing on. I think the England performance last year, the Japanese performance in the summer, there were some really good performances from us that that are probably the benchmark now. We don't want to go back. We want to use this block as an opportunity for us to keep pushing forward. So hopefully we can do that. And as I said, the challenge is now to get that off in the right manner against Japan in Saturday week. And the challenge of international rugby is, that's the difference in terms of, the time you get maybe with your province, you don't get at times with Ireland. It's always very quick turnarounds. In November, the summer tour again, the guys that are selected, the turnaround between the end of the domestic season and getting on a flight to New Zealand is pretty quick. Like, so, I suppose mentally as well as physically, you've got to be pretty sharp.
Adding consistency is so important too. It's something Andy has spoken about continually, and I'm sure as players you probably felt this too, where there's been a sprinkling of good performances in his reign so far, sometimes not so good performances. He's been keen to point out that it's been so stop-start because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, and training practices had to change, and that didn't help at the start of his first Six Nations campaign either. Then it was delayed and pushed back. But I'm sure as we kind of emerge from all this, adding that consistency of performance at international level as a squad is something you'll be very keen to do.
Yep, definitely, yeah. And I think we're starting to get touch wood that consistency right. Like, look, as I was saying, that England game and obviously Japanese game, I think even though we had largely a new squad come in over the summer, we were able to put in 2 decent performances. And look, we're obviously not going to look into the USA game too much, but I even thought the standard of what we delivered and what we talked about was pretty good. And yeah, I think it takes a while to understand how we're trying to play, and I think people are starting to get a real idea now of what we're trying to do. So yeah, that's the challenge this month. Can we put in three top quality performances? We'd be happy with that.
your own leadership within this group. It was about 12 months ago that Andy Farrell started speaking about how you were emerging as a leader. And I think I'm paraphrasing him slightly, but he said that you were kind of picking up things from the coaching team almost like a sponge and wanting to show that you were going to be a leader. You got to captain your country during the summer. I'm sure you would have preferred to have been in South Africa, but still you got to captain the international team. You got to captain Leinster at the start of this year too. Is this leadership side to your game something that you feel is really important about you as a player?
Not particularly. Yeah, I love helping guys and influencing guys. Particularly some of the younger guys now coming in. But ultimately, in terms of what I do, I just try to to put in a really good standard of training, and I endeavour to to perform well when I'm given the opportunity. And I think when you put in actions like that, your words probably mean a little bit after that. So yeah, it's a kind of cliche, but I try my best to lead by example, I suppose. Yeah, we've a good leadership group at the moment. Johnny's back in, and you can see the difference he makes. When he comes back into training. So I think we're in a good spot in terms of that. But the big thing for us is you want everybody to be leaders. You know what I mean? You want everybody to be leading by example and to be influencing, and that's kind of part of what we're trying to do this month.
Johnny Sexton, comes back in after a very unusual time where he was actually able to get a break this summer, and the knock he had a couple of weeks notwithstanding, the games he's played for Leinster so far this year, for a guy who's well into his 30s now at this stage, he has looked refreshed, he has looked hungry, and I'm sure he is determined to lay down a marker with his individual performances and helping the team out when these 3 games come around now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's looked great. Whenever he's played, he's looked like he's had a real zip, a real edge about him. So it's a big block for him as well as everybody. And mentally he's as driven, he's as sharp as I've ever seen him. So I think we're in a good spot in terms of that. And obviously with Joey in, with Harry in, and it'll be a good learning experience for them as well to be around him. He's looking good, I have to say.
Is the key for Harry Byrne now just to get a run of games without picking up a knock or an injury along the way? Because it's so clear the talent that he has, and he's been so unlucky. I even think back to the Zebra game a few weeks ago, Andy's sitting in the stand watching him, he picks up a knock and he has to go off after 20 minutes when he's getting a chance to impress along the way. It's really clear that he's got talent, but it's just a case of getting maybe some games into his legs now at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like anybody, do you know what I mean? The more durable, the more robust you are, the better, the more likely that you're going to get picked off the back of I suppose exposure. So I know he's working pretty hard, in the gym to fix up kind of niggles and little deficiencies and things like that. Touch wood, he's able to get through this month, training fully and hopefully getting a couple of opportunities as well.
I'm sure you're very pleased for your clubmate Dan Sheehan to be in here, also Kieran Frawley, in potentially to win their first caps this time around. You're rewarded for their provincial form, but for Dan particularly, he's gone about his business very well over the last year and earned his place in this squad.
Absolutely, yeah. Anytime he plays, anytime he's come off the bench, really, he he's made a real impact. For a hooker, he's a big guy, but I think he kind of has it all, doesn't he, really? Serious footballer, in terms of his carry, his skills, defensively as well. He gets stuck in, he's good intent about him. So this would be a great window for him. And it's great to have, such depth there at hooker now, with Leinster, but obviously with Ireland as well. Rob, Ro and Dan, three really good hookers, which is great for us as an Irish pack.
When it comes to depth, and I've asked all three of you this morning about this because it's been so remarkable to see Cian Healy at his advancing years take on moving over to the tight head, which is a very difficult adjustment to make when you've been playing loose head for all of your professional career. Very impressive from Keane to move across. Also for Andrew now to get a chance to play a little bit more at loose head on the other side. And both provincially and for the country, this gives a lot more options in the front row a couple of years out now from a World Cup.
Yeah, no, it is. If there's any man that could do it, it's probably Church. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's particularly hard. I think I don't know enough about it, but well, I do know a little bit about it. But I know, switching over from loose head to the tight side is a lot trickier than switching over from tight head to loose head. So, as you said, being able to do that, at that stage of his career is pretty impressive. And I think everyone would agree that anytime that he's come off the bench and he's been scrummaging on the tight head side, he's been very, very strong. We've won at least several penalties this season from him coming off the bench at the tight head side. So, look, it's testament to him and to the professional he is, that he's willing at this stage of his career to say, yeah, look, I'll give that a go. I'll keep improving, keep growing, and yeah, it's great because we've got real, as I said earlier about the hooker position. I think in our front row across the board now we've got real depth, which is really good. It's important for us. If you look at some of the top teams in the world now, just the depth they have in the front row is pretty amazing.